Looks like the team over at the Glock Store might have pulled the curtain back a little early with what appears to be a soft launch of the new 26X. At the same time, the rumor mill is starting to churn about a possible Generation 6 lineup in development. So now a lot of us are asking that age-old question: grab the 26X now, or hold out and see what the next full-gen Glock might bring. In this rundown, we're taking a detailed look at the leaked Glock 26X, what it actually is, why it's catching fire in the shooting world, and what it could mean for Glock's design direction moving forward. We'll dive into how it carries, how it runs at the range, and how it stacks up against both the original Glock 26 and the time-tested Glock 19. But more than that, we'll explore the larger picture. Is this a step toward modular design, improved ergonomics, and true compatibility with full-size components in a compact footprint? The first Glock 26 made waves in the concealed carry scene because it gave folks 10 rounds of 9mm punch in a platform you could actually hide under a t-shirt. Even though it was smaller, it didn't skimp on the internals. It kept the core function and reliability of its bigger brothers. With a barrel just over 3 1/3 inches and a short slide, it cleared both leather and Kydex holsters effortlessly. The grip was shortened, just enough to vanish in your waistband without jabbing into your side when driving or leaning forward. Anyone who's ever tried to appendix carry a Glock 19 for an afternoon knows how much difference even half an inch of extra slide length can make when seated. The 26 proved that you didn't need a full-size duty gun to bring serious defensive capability. Still, it had trade-offs, especially when it came to control. Shrinking the slide pushes the balance point toward the rear, which brings more muzzle rise during recoil. Plus, the factory grip is only good for 2 fingers, unless you run a mag with a pinky extension. Not a huge deal for relaxed shooting, but once you step up to defensive drills or time transitions, your support hand ends up doing all the stabilizing, just to keep things from shifting. The problem gets worse with hotter plus P loads. Shooters got creative over the years. Many started running 15 or 17-round mags from the Glock 19 or 17, and added sleeves like the XGRIP to close the gap. That homemade solution was, in essence, the first draft of the 26X, long before Glock made it official. And while it worked in a pinch, those mag sleeves weren't perfect. They could shift, snag on clothing, or pinch during a fast reload. But now, Glock has finally decided to do it right at the factory level. The top half of the 26X is straight from the Generation 5 26 parts bin forward cocking serrations, the Glock marksman barrel, and all the reliability we've come to expect. Where it changes is in the grip. Glock molded it to mirror the Glock 19.5 frame, no finger grooves, improved texturing, and a subtle magwell flare to make reloads smoother. And because it's all one solid frame, no sleeves, no spacers, there's no wiggle or shifting mid-run. Your support hand gets full purchase, and your pinky finally lands where it's supposed to. Recoil feels noticeably more manageable, much closer to the Glock 19, while still offering that shorter slide length for deeper concealment. That makes a huge difference when you're sitting for long periods, whether it's commuting, road tripping, or just carrying day to day. Now, some folks might ask, why bother with the 26X when you've got thin carry pistols like the 43X or P365 on the market? The short answer: capacity and shootability. The 26X runs factory 24 or even 33 round mags right out of the gate, no aftermarket extensions or custom tweaks needed. That wider grip frame also helps tame recoil, keeping the muzzle flatter and making faster follow-up shots easier. Sure, the 43X wins when you need deep concealment, but the 26X fills a different need. It offers enhanced control, better mag compatibility, and full-size performance in Glock's most concealable double-stack slide. It's essentially what so many Glock fans have been DIY building for years, a better shooting version of the baby Glock that still excels in everyday carry. To really get a feel for how each generation of the Glock 26 performs, you've got to move beyond just the cosmetics and pay attention to how it behaves in the shooter's grip. Take those early generation 2.5 models, for instance. Sure, they had finger grooves, but the area between them was basically slick plastic. When you pushed the gun, hard firing fast strings, the grip gave out before your hands did. After every few rounds, especially with hotter loads, you'd end up needing to readjust. There just wasn't enough bite, especially when you were running spicy 115 grain, plus P, plus loads from brands like Corbon, which behaved more like compact Magnum rounds than typical 9mm. When Glock brought out Generation 3, they finally added that pebble-style checkering inside the grooves. That helped a bit with sweaty palms or wet weather shooting, but the grooves themselves were still a mixed bag. If you had average-sized hands, they might work, but for shooters with larger mitts, those ridges forced your fingers into narrow pressure points, which became annoying fast, especially during longer practice sessions. Generation 4 brought a more thoughtful improvement with the rough texture frame. Those little raised pyramids locked in better and made a noticeable difference in control. Plus, the dual recoil spring setup helped flatten out the muzzle flip. Even so, the finger grooves remained, and plenty of people took Dremels to their frames, slapped on grip tape, or installed sleeves to work around the design. Then came Generation 5, and that's when Glock finally started really listening to shooters. They ditched the grooves completely, tuned up the texture for more uniform traction, and added a slightly beveled magwell that streamlined reloads. Drawing from concealment became cleaner, too. No more edges catching on clothing. And once the gun settled in your grip, it stayed put, especially during rapid follow-ups. Compared to earlier gens, the Generation 5 Glock 26 feels almost fused to your hand during quick doubles or defensive drills. Now throw the 26X into the mix, and suddenly, the game changes. The extended grip isn't just a comfort tweak, it transforms the way the pistol handles. That added real estate gives your support hand full leverage. The muzzle may still snap a little faster than a Glock 19, but you can drive the pistol back on target almost instantly, often before the front sight finishes rising. That matters when you're working transitions or timed drills. Reloads get an upgrade too. No more messing with sleeves that can shift, pinch, or rattle. The full-length grip frame includes a mild magwell flare that guides magazines home with minimal effort. If you're running reloads from concealment under a hoodie or a flannel, that clean insertion paired with a steady firing grip can give you a serious edge. Of course, carrying the 26X brings its own pros and cons. The short slide keeps the muzzle from poking out or pushing against your belt when you bend or sit. That might not sound like much, but if you've ever worn appendix carry for 10 hours, you know what a difference that short slide length makes in comfort and positioning. On the flip side, the longer grip can be a bit harder to hide. Under a fitted t-shirt, the heel of the grip might start to show unless you're using a holster with a wing or wedge to tuck it inward. In cooler weather, when you're layering up, that printing issue basically disappears, making the 26X a near-perfect cold weather carry option. And while it might not seem like a major shift on paper, just shaving off about 2/3 of an inch compared to the Glock 19 in day-to-day carry, that small difference can mean the gun stops short of jabbing into your hip or pelvic bone when seated. So, here's the big question. If the Generation 5 Glock 26 is already a solid carry piece that shoots well, why even bother with a hybrid like the 26X, or wait around to see if a Generation 6 emerges? It really comes down to your personal shooting priorities. If deep concealment is your top goal, the original 26 still holds its own. 10-round factory mags keep the profile slim, and the optional 12-rounders give you a boost without adding much bulk. But for serious shooters who log hours on the range and want their carry gun to train like a duty pistol, the short grip falls short. That's exactly where the 26X earns its keep. It gives you a Glock 19 style grip without the extra slide length, offering better control while keeping the overall package compact. It's tailor-made for folks who like the concept of the 43X, but craved more stability from a double-stack grip, or for those who lived with XGRIP adapters, but always wanted a factory-fit solution. Everyone's eyes are slowly starting to turn toward what Glock might unveil with Generation 6, and there's good reason for the buzz. Glock doesn't just clear out shelves across its catalog for no reason. Recently, a quiet but very real purge hit distributor lists. Dozens of product SKUs disappeared, including oddball chamberings like 357 SIG and 45 gap, several models in 40 caliber, and even some optics-ready Generation 4 and Generation 5 pistols. Moves like that usually signal one thing: something major is on the horizon. And judging by the latest batch of patent filings, the picture is starting to come into focus. It looks like Glock is preparing to introduce some significant mechanical overhauls. One of the most exciting developments? A fully contained trigger unit that drops directly into the frame, using a keyed system, something that would make swapping trigger weights and internal parts much simpler, while also reducing maintenance hassles. Another potential game changer is a takedown method that separates the striker assembly without requiring a trigger pull. That's a big win for safety, particularly in law enforcement settings, armorer training, or anywhere negligent discharges are a concern. Dig deeper into the technical drawings, and the design gets even more modular. Glock seems to be exploring a two-part frame system, where the serialized component, the upper chassis with the locking block, rails, and trigger group, stays fixed, while the grip module underneath can be swapped out. Instead of copying Sig Sauer's P320 approach entirely, Glock might retain its hallmark simplicity, but still allow end users to quickly change grip length and magazine well size without buying an entirely separate pistol. If this becomes reality, you could shift from a 26 size carry gun to a 19 size range gun in under a minute. So what does all this mean for the 26X? Well, think of it as a public field trial hiding in plain sight. The Glock Store sells enough units to gather meaningful performance data on how shooters adopt it, what modifications they make, and what aftermarket accessories they gravitate toward. Every successful sale of the 26X helps Glock understand how much demand there really is for cross-size modularity. And since it's already built around Generation 5 internals, it plays nice with current holsters, trigger kits, and slide assemblies. At the end of the day, if you're in the market for a compact Glock, you've basically got three clear paths. If deep concealment is your top concern, but you still want more than a single stack's capacity, the Generation 5 Glock 26 with its 12-round magazine is hard to beat. It stays minimal in profile, but still packs enough firepower to handle serious situations. Add a good holster with a wedge or wing, and you've got a near-invisible carry setup that's battle-tested. On the flip side, if you're prioritizing grip control and quick follow-up shots, the 26X gives you immediate returns. You'll have to manage a bit more printing under light clothing, but in defensive shooting, that full grip makes a huge difference when the adrenaline is flowing. Then there's the forward-looking group, the folks waiting on Generation 6. If you get excited by the idea of frame-swappable grip modules, safer takedown mechanisms, optics-ready slides, and modular fire control units, sitting tight might be your smartest move. You'll likely spend a little more upfront, but you'll be buying into Glock's most forward-thinking design in decades. All of these paths are valid. It just depends on your situation. If you're a low-profile civilian, a plainclothes officer, or someone with a slim build, the original 26 might be ideal. But if you spend time training, shoot competitively, or simply want a duty-style grip in a shorter package, the 26X will feel tailor-made. And if you're the gear junkie who swaps setups like socks, you'll probably end up chasing the next big thing the second Generation 6 drops. Here's what matters most. Know yourself. Understand how you carry, how often you train, and which trade-offs you're comfortable making. Whether your biggest priority is grip ergonomics, slide length, capacity, modularity, or holster compatibility, the choice should line up with your lifestyle, not just what's trending. The best part? Glock's legendary parts compatibility isn't going anywhere. From night sights to mags, most accessories jump across generations without issue. The 26X is a great example. It uses existing Generation 5 slides, barrels, and internals. Even if Generation 6 completely reimagines the lineup, Glock has a solid track record of backward compatibility. Look at Generation 3. Those parts are still going strong in the aftermarket, 20 years later. No matter which direction you take, the foundation stays the same: rugged reliability. But what's genuinely exciting now is that Glock seems ready to evolve, not just with surface-level tweaks, but with deep structural innovation. A safer takedown system that helps prevent classroom accidents. A drop-in trigger module that gives adjustability without needing a gunsmith. Swap-on grip shells that delivers custom fit without paperwork headaches. And sitting right between tradition and innovation is the 26X, finally giving us the hybrid many of us have been cobbling together for years, but this time straight from the factory. So when that next big reveal happens, whether it's at the NRA, annual meetings, SHOT Show, or a surprise media event, Expect to see ideas shaped by everyday users show up in Glock's next generation. Until then, the 26X remains the best of both worlds. That's it for this one. Now, we want to hear from you. Are you sticking with the original 26, switching to the 26X, or waiting to see what Generation 6 brings to the table? Would you go factory stock or piece together your own hybrid? Let us know in the comments. If this breakdown helped you out, hit that like button, share it with your fellow Glock fans, and make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're first in line when the next Glock evolution hits.